What's up guys, KPlaysHere, and well, I take a break from the Monster Hunter space for a couple weeks, and what do I come back to? Final Fantasy running it back with another crossover, a giant beetle robot whose main form of attack is the world's best 3D printer, Wild's first Elder Dragon coming back soon, and it just so happening to be one of my top 5 favorite monsters. Clearly, Capcom's been in the kitchen while I've been busy, so let's talk about what I'm coming back to, shall we? The first and biggest point coming up for us, Title Update 3 is right around the corner, and it's coming in swinging. The Final Fantasy world meets Monster Hunter for the second time, bringing us the third crossover for the series in Omega Planetus. This will also give us the Dark Knight armor and the Great Sword, similarly to how Behemoth gave us Draken armor and the Dragoon Encyclave. You know what that means, right? Yeah, in 12 more Monster Hunter titles with Final Fantasy crossovers, we might have a full armor/weapon pairing for every Monster Hunter weapon type. Or at the very least, in Monster Hunter 7 when they sling Bahamut or something at us, the next one had better be a hunting horn. Then they can do whatever they want with this trend and I'll be happy. I don't quite know what to make of the Pictomancy spell gestures yet, but from the looks of things, they actually do some pretty decent damage. If it's anything like the Dragoon jump gesture back in World, they'll probably have some mechanical effect that'll end up being useful in the Omega hunt, but we'll have to see how useful they end up being in general play. I'll be interested to see if the set we get this time lives up to the meta-defining Legacy Draken armor head. That set lasted as the hands-down best option for a while for melee weapon users, and made me glad that we had layered armor so it wasn't just all you'd ever see anyone wearing. But onto the monster, if we can technically call it that, that is. From what I gather, what we have in our hands is some sort of dimensional wanderer, looking to learn about powerful creatures in the Monster Hunter universe. I'm intentionally trying to stay mostly in the dark on this thing, aside from the glimpses we saw in the promo trailer, but apparently it's going to be learning with a pretty hands-on approach, launching lasers, rocket fists, missiles, and even holographically generated Monster Hunter and Final Fantasy creatures at us. I don't think I ever talked about it on this channel back when they first started happening, but I actually originally couldn't stand the idea of crossover monsters. It always felt a little weird to have all that dead time spent implementing a monster that could probably never come back in the future, because, you know, the Monster Hunter side of Capcom doesn't actually own the IP for these things, rather than just giving us something new in the Monster Hunter universe, on top of the last two being much more high fantasy magical than most of the game's offerings. This time though, I may actually have to let those reservations go for the pure rule of cool that they're putting into this thing. Despite it being a robot, Omega is kinda weirdly fitting, considering Wilds finally dove into the deep end on making the ancient advanced civilization lore that it used to have in just the writing canon. Plus, with interdimensional travel apparently now just being a rare but possible thing in the universe, I'm admittedly starting to come around on the concept. It's not really bleeding into the rest of the established universe that much, and while I could have gone full, back in my day we just hunted monsters in my Monster Hunter, as a reaction to this now getting a robot to fight in the next few days, I think I'm going to hold off judgment for the experience itself. I know there are hunts already out there, and I'll include a few clips in the b-roll of this vid as I talk about it, but again, aside from my very light researching into what the heck an Omega Planetus even is as a non-Final Fantasy player, I think I want to go into this thing mostly blind. It'd be fitting to experience something so alien to the game for the first time in actual gameplay when it comes to making an opinion. Moving on to Title Update 3's second big new thing, along with the Spooky Seasons Festival of Accord will come Arch-Tempered New Udra. This is the one I've been waiting for, because unlike Uthduna, the new Udra set is actually packing a nice selection of offensive skills. If Black Knight doesn't take over the meta in the next couple days, the mix set using this fiery calamari armor may beat the top spot instead. I'm hoping for some good stuff here, because I've been planning on trying out a resentment build ever since we learned that the Sonic Barrier song and offset melody were a thing for hunting Horn and Wilds. And the recent Hyper Armor Hilt Stab just doubled the need for a solidly viable Tankhorn build. Sadly, we'll be waiting until late October to see just how good Arch-Tempered No. 3's gear ends up being, but at least that gives me plenty of time to brush up on the fight. While I'm not fighting a giant robot, that is. All that jibber-jabber aside though, let's get to my personal biggest focus of the whole recent reveal. Oh yeah, this reveal has me looking at the entirety of Title Update 3 like,
I don't want to play with you anymore.
my oily boy is back. Wilds truly is for Ultimate 2. Never thought I'd see the day that Gogmazios graced my screen again, because its status as a giant endgame boss has typically stopped most monsters in that category from returning in the future games. If they're gonna pick one, especially to also have be the first Elder to appear in Wilds, I couldn't be happier that it's Gog. Many of you newer players to the series have probably only heard that name in community memes, so now that you'll actually get to experience them yourselves, well, you're in for a wild ride. Gog was a huge dragon that fed on gunpowder and minerals in between decades of hibernation, dripping the sticky tar that coagulates over its body as a byproduct of its diet like a walking tar pit, which would then proceed to freaking explode as Gog started to radiate heat in rage mode. It was so big of a threat that we fought it in the castle's heavy artillery as a last line of defense to take it down. Think Zora Magdaros in World, but what's the phrase I'm looking for here? Oh yeah, actually fun and interesting. Yeah, I said it, if you're a Zora fan, you're weird. Anyway though, Gog was one of my first big hurdles in 4U. I actually never got to take him down on my own with my trusty dude stick solo, having to either get with a group to chew through all that health or pick up the then extremely powerful newly introduced Insect Glaive instead. This time though, it's personal. I've got a few more years of Monster Hunter experience under my belt, and Wild's new and improved hunting horde in my hands, so it is on. This is far from a hate-fueled grudge match for me though. I've been itching to see this walking oil spill return because, as I said in the beginning of this vid, it's probably my favorite monster in the entire series. Awesome design, a status-based set when I love status weapons, and weapons that are both unique in their amazing designs based on different medieval torture devices, and their unexpected niche as hard-hitting and named sleep weapons. A pure masterpiece of a monster. Maybe that last bit is based on the whole hibernation thing, or the fumes from melting tar, I don't know. All that I know is that I hope they keep it. If they do, Hunting Horn is finally going to have an Echo Wave sleep option besides Ardian, and quite a powerful one at that. There's been a trend of new weapons being strong and having fancy thematic skills attached. If I end up having to rock with the old Onyx Turpus Core from December till the Master Rank expansion, I don't think I'd be upset in the slightest. But we'll unfortunately have to wait an entire update cycle before we see how they'll be handling Gogmazios and his gear in Wilds. Something that caught my eye is the fact that he's coming alongside an endgame content expansion. And so far, we've heard that at the very least that'll include improvements for our ancient Ardian weapons. I'm assuming that unless for some reason they decide to make it the exact same individual, the 4 Ultimate Gog's iconic accidentally stolen Dragonator won't be stuck to the tar in its back this time around. So, quick tinfoil hat theory. This might be our new siege monster a la Safi Jiva or Cool Troth. It's definitely a big enough monster to fit the role, and their habit of rooting around in armories for fuel to eat could have possibly led to them easily going through some Ardian weapon stores. Imagine if this time, for example, it came with the giant Dragon Torch laser or something stuck to its back, and breaking it down is what gave you more parts to improve your Ardian weapon. It'd be a perfect replacement / callback to an old lore detail and a neat segue into a new system if you ask me. What do you guys think though? Are you more hyped for our first big Elder Dragon later down the year, or the upcoming crossover event coming this weekend? Let me know down below. Until next time, which will be a lot sooner than the last time, this has been another KPlays, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.